Alrighty, what's going on everyone? I'm Jonathan, Duke Does Amazon, and today we are breaking down my profit and loss statement for March of 2022. Before we dive in, I always want to preface when talking about numbers, it's not a brag, it's not a flex, people run laps around me. I think it's so valuable to be authentic and open and transparent about numbers because I remember when I was a newbie, I wanted to know, is it worth my time? What's realistic? How much time and effort? How much do I have to do in sales to make this amount of profit? So just know I'm coming from a good place. It's documenting my journey, it's sharing what I've learned, and it's being an open book. So with that said, let's dive into my profit and loss for March of 2022. Alrighty, so in front of me here is my profit and loss report from March of 2022. I use Inventory Lab. I'm not gonna go line item by line item. I just wanna hit you with the meat and potatoes, the nuts and the bolts, if you will. I'll make a video about that another time. I love Inventory Lab for a variety of reasons. This is just one of them, okay? So anyway, here we go at the very top to the right. I'm gonna highlight it. You'll see my total sales in March was $37,702.29, okay? Now, after a couple of things took some money out, like refunds, like rebates, like credits from Amazon, that left me here with $36,699, okay? After that, we had some major expenses, which are very normal. The biggest one being our cost of goods sold. That means the price that I paid for the items that sold that month, okay? And so here you'll see the item is $17,365.57. And then underneath that, when you combine the Amazon selling fees along with the Amazon transaction fees, you get a number that's a little bit over 11,000. Okay, so that's gonna be this line here, the selling fees, and this line here, the transaction fees. I just grouped that all as Amazon fees. And by the way, that 11,000 and change out of my 37,000 in sales is right around 30%, which is like very on par for the fee that I've experienced Amazon takes, okay? I typically just round it up and say Amazon takes a third, okay? And by the way, I don't care what their fees are. This is an incredible opportunity. They deserve every penny that they take from it. That's a conversation for another day we can elaborate on. After that, some fixed expenses that I have on a monthly basis. For one, I have a REPRICER. If you're not familiar with that, basically you can set a low price and a high price and some rules in some REPRICERs, and it will adjust your price accordingly so that you're eligible to win the buy box and also sell it at a price point that you're comfortable with. Mine that I use is Seller Snap. It's $500 a month. That's how much I value it. I've used others that are $100 a month like Aura. A lot of them can get the job done. I can probably spend less, but I'm really content with it now. And I wouldn't suggest that for anyone unless you're over 20,000 in sales to make it worthwhile. And even then, maybe not, okay? Also, I use Keepa, which is undisputable. That's $21 a month, give or take. Inventory Lab is $40 a month. And then your Amazon professional seller account, $39.99 a month. Those total about $600 a month in fixed expenses. Those are the only paid tools and subscriptions that I use, and I think they are all worth their weight in gold. But I don't get carried away with a bunch of other ones. I think those do the job just fine. And then after that, some variable expenses that I incurred this month were basically just supplies. Think of boxes for shipping to Amazon, think of poly bags, tape, things of that nature. Mine was just under $150. I had to reload on some items. So when it's all said and done, maybe $100 a month in supplies is typical, okay? So then if we scroll all the way down here, after all of those numbers, the total profit here is $6,975.91. To the right of that, total expenses, $29,723, okay? So that's what I did. I did $7,000 on about $37,000 in sales. $7,000 profit, it is nothing to sneeze at. I am very proud of that. I've been doing this for about 2 years. Just a reminder on some of the big numbers, $37,000 sales, total expenses were almost $30,000. Profit margin was right around 19 to 20%, which I'll touch on in a minute. And I do want to mention one other thing that's not included in here. I use extensions and tools that are free like Rakuten or Retail Me Not or Rebates Me, where when I do online arbitrage, I get a percentage back of a lot of my purchases. Plus I use a 2% cashback credit card for all of this. So if I spent $20,000, $30,000 in a month, I can assume I'm gonna get back $1,000 to $2,000 on top of this just from making those purchases. So keep that in mind. And with that said, now that we've broken down the numbers, I wanna leave you with a couple of bullet points, some notes about this, about my profit margin, the future, and just some advice that I have for anybody that's not familiar with these numbers in general. All right, so since we got the numbers out of the way now, there's a couple bullet points that I really do wanna drive home because I think they're all really valuable, okay? First and foremost, I've said this before and I will continue to say this time and time again. Sales are not profit. Sales are not profit. Sales are not profit. And using me as an example, this is a great indicator, okay? This is the third best month I've ever had in terms of sales. And it's probably the 8th best month I've ever had in terms of profit, okay? And I'm gonna get into why that is, but my point here is that especially when you're new and you're just like happy to find 1 or 2 items, it becomes like, how do these people have such high sales? And how is everyone else doing this? Or how do you get to that point? Just know sales are not profit. You should be focusing on profit, especially early on, and not get caught up in that. So the second bullet point I wanna talk about is I've had a substantial decrease this month in my profit margin, okay? In 2021, I made a video on my whole year profit, which I'll link here. I had about a 28% profit margin. Down to about 20% in March is a substantial difference, but there's 2 main reasons for that, okay? For one, I used to primarily do retail arbitrage, and the return on investment and profit margins are way higher typically if that's all you do. When I would spend $1 retail arbitrage, I would try to make $1 retail arbitrage. The problem is this: you can only be in so many stores at a given amount of time in a given day or short period of time, right? Basically what I'm trying to say is the scalability isn't there. Yes, the returns and the margins are great, but eventually you want to start spending more money than what you can possibly spend doing retail arbitrage. So then you transition like I did to online arbitrage. And now I get a taste of that and I'm like, wow, I can do this from home and have access to the entire world's supply and just find out the nuances and discounts and good sites and supply and demand and all of that. The turnoffs or the trade-offs are that your profit margin goes down, but your net profit goes up. So if you have the budget to afford it, it's really nice. And like I just moved and I didn't want to be tied down to a specific geography's stores, right? I want to be able to do this anywhere in the world. And that's why I'm going to online arbitrage more and more. And I'm willing to have a less profit margin because my net profit is still going to go up. So the third thing I want to talk about, let's talk about my future goals, okay? Because this is a little bit of like a documentation as well. I just did $7,000 profit in the month of March. In the next 3 months, my goal is to get to $10,000 a month profit. And the way that I plan on doing that is really scaling up my online arbitrage and being committed to having a daily spend budget. I know it might sound weird because I used to think the same when I was new. Why are you focused on your spend and not your just your final profit, right? Well, because if you follow the guidelines of a certain amount of spend, if you know your profit margin like I do, I know if I spend enough, I can reverse engineer it that I need to do $50,000 a month in sales at 20% profit to make $10,000 profit, okay? And then I can calculate, basically, I won't bore you with details, how much I need to spend to get there. So it's just reverse engineering, okay? So that's my goal. And for me, I mean, that's a lot of money, okay? I live simply. I have another small business. I like making YouTube videos. I'm working on other projects to have all of my needs met from buying and selling things and much more than just my needs met, by the way. It's incredible. And that's been a long time goal of mine. And now that I know what I'm doing, I've put in about 2 years to get here, I can see the finish line. So we're gonna continue to update with that as well and see how I do with that. And if I can leave you with one message, It's just to take action. There are so many people selling on Amazon. There are so many free tools and resources and Discord groups out there. Anything that you encounter, I assure you somebody else selling on Amazon has encountered. To me, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, truly. Like, it's like a gold rush, maybe 5, 10, 20 more years. I don't know how long. But we are piggybacking on Amazon's brand, which is one of the most recognizable in the world, right? So get out there, take action, be willing to be a beginner, focus on profit, not sales, and worry about making your first $100 before you have to make your first 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever it is. I hope this helped a little bit paint the picture, let you know what's real, what I'm doing, a little documentation, just sharing my journey a little bit along the way, hoping to help others out, everything I've learned to continue to learn. I'm Jonathan, Duke Does Amazon. We're on Instagram as well. Take care. Talk to you guys soon.